Alright guys, hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another video. Today we are in for another leg session. 5 days on for the last session you guys will have seen the last leg day. So this is now the second time you'll have seen this session. This is my hinge session, the day where I've got my RDLs. I'd introduce and let you know how many weeks I am. I'm actually not really too sure. All I know is I'm further along in prep. It's another leg day. We get after it just as usual, and honestly nothing else changes. I've said this a few times, but when I come in here, like, I'm still the same performance athlete as I am in off season. It's just come in, train hard, doesn't matter what else is going on. Yeah, you take certain things into consideration, but we're just here to do the work. So today is one of those sessions where I definitely just kind of need to like get my head in it and crack on. So any bits that I've got to kind of take you guys through along the way, I obviously will do. Otherwise, hopefully you can just enjoy watching along what a leg session looks like at this point. So starting with the ab work as usual, I'm actually really glad that I've been doing this and prioritising this, because I don't have the strongest midsection, but I had literally like no abs the last time I competed, and I've definitely got like some abdominal muscle there now, which is ideal. So I've just got a couple more sets here, and then we're cracking with adductors and the rest of the thing before now. Bit of a no. You're probably always going to have to wait for something in your session. Just be patient. Like, there's some things that you can move around. Like in a push session, if you've got fly and a lateral, you can swap around, it's not a problem. But like, especially in a leg session, you kind of need the session to stay in order. Like, the movements flow in a specific way throughout the session in order for you to get your best outcomes. Like, it's really important that I do adductor, then seated ham, then my RDL. It's programmed that way specifically. So yeah, I'm waiting for an adductor, but just wait. I'm not going to die for waiting like 5 minutes. Just keep yourself in the zone. Don't stress yourself out. It's the worst thing people do is they like, we'll be waiting for a kit and then they just go, frustrated. And what's that doing? Just pulling energy away from the set you've got in front of you, which is not what you want. That is a movement where I will give myself a little bit of a spot toward the end, just on my top set. It's one of the sets, not both of them, because I'm not trying to like basically spot the whole rep. It's just that first set, when it is a little bit harder still to get short, because this especially, even on setting 5, is still really hard to get short. I just need a little bit of a nudge, because otherwise I end up, and this is what a lot of people do, is they're like wriggling all over the shot, and they're like moving, or they're making it like a multi-part rep, and it's like way less productive than you just like giving yourself a little bit of a self spot. So like, whilst I'm not doing anything silly, like there's nothing wrong with just a little bit of a spot there just to help me actually get the rep fully short, and then I can also take the eccentric from there, rather than either one just like ditching the rep or taking something that's just not safe. A lot of people often ask what to do when it comes to rest periods. Like, should you time your rest periods? Do you need to? I think that if it's helpful for you to make sure that you rest enough in between warm-ups and in between sets, then absolutely, because some people will maybe move too fast or too slow. I personally go off of like intuition and feel like I know when I'm ready and I know when I'm not. Like, you don't want to be going into a set like out of breath. You don't want to be going into a set when you're still absolutely like battered from the previous set that you've done. I think that the more time that you train, you like just understand how you should feel when you go into your working sets, how long you need in your warm-ups. But if you do struggle with that, like you get ahead of yourself or you just don't kind of know where you're at, that's where a timer can be useful. But like personally, it just annoys me. So like if I don't need it, I'm not going to faff around with it, because I want to just focus on being present in the session as much as possible. So the same thing actually goes as well for like how many warm-ups you should do in a movement. Obviously at the start of the session, things where you're going in like literally fresh, you're probably going to need to do a little bit more warm-up work. But it honestly just depends. Like it depends, how does your body feel? How ready do you feel physically and mentally as well? How heavy is the load that you're working with? Because obviously if you're working with something that's heavier, you're probably going to need more warm-ups in order to get closer to performing that working weight at your best ability. So there's no clear-cut answer. With so many things in bodybuilding, it's like you need to use a bit of trial and error. You know, sometimes you might do too much, sometimes you might do too little. But the more that you do it, the more that you play around with things, the more that you understand your body better, you'll figure out what works best for you. RDL time, let's go. This is where the fun starts. So the only adjustment that I've actually made to this since you guys will have last seen is I have added a mat stand on. Reason being is that with the way that my body is built, which is essentially, despite being extremely short, I have really long arms and legs, which kind of acts as an advantage for pulling because I have a little bit more of a mechanical advantage for it. But it means that if I'm to RDL with like these plates, I get very close to touching the floor. If anything, my range is limited because I'm so close to touching the floor. So when it comes to any pulling movement, you're probably going to have to make an adjustment for that pull to be effective for you. It doesn't need to be the exact same stiff leg as someone else, the exact same RDL. Like there's going to be a pull that works best for you for different reasons. That might be creating a deficit, that might be actually lifting the bar, because the main thing that sets up a pull is you have the bar and you have the plates, the heights of the plates. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be a perfect pull set for you. You need to adjust it based on your needs. So that's the reason why I've got this, and honestly, it's the reason why I love deficit stiff legs when I'm actually trying to grow, because honestly right now my lower back can't really handle it. But they work really well for me because they actually put me in a better position to pull. Whereas for me, doing a normal stiff leg on the floor is like doing a block pull, and it actually feels a bit weird. So don't compare or worry about what other people are doing. You just need to make the adjustments that work out for you. AJ rightly suggested start wearing a belt for my hip movement. Now that I'm just getting leaner and I've got less support, less body fat as a whole around like my lower back and my hips. So it's just to kind of keep me a little bit safer, but I haven't done any form of hip hinge with a belt since 2020, and that's just because I prefer pulling without a belt, if I'm honest. Like I actually feel better bracing wise, and I think it's helped me to learn how to brace better. But now I'm at a point where I'll probably benefit from having it in today, but it feels weird because I've just not been used to it, but I know it's the safest thing to do, so I just need to kind of use it for these last few warm-ups and kind of get used to it. and then hopefully it should feel good. It might feel a little bit weird today, but it's what's necessary moving forward, so I just need to adapt to that. Kind of irrelevant as well, but these are, as you can see, they're fresh straps. They're not quite as ragged as my other ones. I left my other straps at North Leeds in that last session. Thankfully, I've got some new ones. These are the only straps I'll use. I'll never use anything other than these straps ones, best ones ever. But they're a bit too fresh, a bit too fresh, and it's a complete psychological thing. But them other straps, I've literally used those for the past 3 years. Like, I've done my 145 kilo pulls in those and everything, so I have an emotional attachment to them. I was a bit upset when they went. They've got sentimental value, but I'll have to just create new sentimental value with these with my 100 kilo RPOs. No, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, you've got to remove superstition from like things like that, because they're just straps at the end of the day. I'll break these ones in. These will be my next off-season straps, and I'll just have to pull big enough for these ones. Personally, I think that negative comparison in bodybuilding is obviously not a great thing. You know, if you find that looking at other people with their lifts or their physique, whatever it is, that makes you feel shit about yourself and all the way to your own energy, then probably remove that. But I think there's a lot of really good positive comparison. Like, for example, when I come into this session and I think, oh yeah, I'm lighter and, you know, the hip hinges feel difficult, I think about the shit that, like, he does. Like, I watched him do a video of him when he's, like, pulling a ridiculous amount of loads when he's absolutely fucking peeled. And he is absolutely sending it. I think, fuck that. Like, if he can do that, I can do this, no problems. Like, it's all a matter of, like, what you massively limit yourself by. If you're coming in and you're going, oh, I'm fragile, I'm weak, like, you're going to feel like that. But if you look at what is possible, what you can do, and you fucking get after it, like, use that as something that excites you. Like, I watch those videos of him and I think, you know what, like, I can go in. Not that I can do what Keithy's doing, because I can't, but I can still go in and get after it. And I think it's really good, and especially in natural bodybuilding, it's definitely, I think, elevated the sport a lot, because it's all about people seeing what's possible. And, you know, sometimes when you see what is possible and you use that as a positive means of comparison, it can allow you to do things you never thought you were capable of doing. So this last warm-up is actually quite close to what I'm going to work with. This is 100, I'm going to work with 105. But I'm literally just going to do like one rep. I'm going to pull it from the floor, I'm going to do one rep, and then that's it. And I generally find that quite helpful on a lot of my movements. Sometimes, like my last warm-up is just 1-2 reps. And it's more of a confidence thing than anything else. In other phases as well, I wouldn't do my last warm-up probably so close to my working weight. But just because of where I'm at the moment, it's really important for me to just feel safe with those loads. Like, I don't feel comfortable going from 90 to 105 at this point in actual body weight, because now 15 kilos is quite a large percentage of my body weight now that I'm 50 kilos, you know, so you've got to kind of take that into consideration. But definitely don't wipe yourself out with those last warm-ups. That's the worst mistake I see people doing, is their last warm-up, they're working too close, they're working weight, and they're doing too much of it. Which, if you are intentionally trying to limit what you can give to the top set, that's perfectly fine for doing that intentionally. But if your goal is to get the absolute most out of the top set, why would you pre-fatigue yourself like so close to that working set? You know, you probably just need to give it a rep or two, or you don't need to go close to your working weight, and then you can just get after the absolute set and you're trying to take those out. Right. Really happy with that. I always need a minute to take to like look through the set. Is a lot of the time, I think, especially with hip hinges, it always feels worse than it looks. Like, I mean, especially when you're dieting, but I find all the time that, you know, it feels really difficult in the moment, and you might feel like you're moving a million tons, and then you can look back and go, they actually look alright, they actually move really fast. And they didn't move fast, but like that was good. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as it felt in the set, which is a good thing. It's why it's good to look back at that, and it's why with all of your training, it's really good to look back at your sets, especially if you are trying to learn to push your intensity. Like, film sets and look back at them and see how hard those reps actually are, see how slow those reps actually are. Because I can guarantee you, most of the time, especially if you need to train, you'll look back at those sets, and if you compare the speed of the concentric from the first rep to the last rep, it's probably not going to be that different. Like, and it should be drastically different. That's how you know that you're hitting failure. You look at the concentric from rep 1 and the concentric from the last rep, and there should be a stark difference. You should see that really slow down, but everything else in the set should stay the exact same. So, you know, use filming your sets when you can do to help you to learn that, and then you can know, okay, I can push my limits more next time and next time and next time. And that's how you start to then really take your sets all the way out. So, as I'm sure you guys will have seen, I obviously logbook and all of my training. That's my preferred method of tracking my training. Honestly, that's really all it is. It's just me having a note of where my numbers are. I think that there comes a problem with logbooking for a lot of people where they take it almost too seriously, and they see it as something every single week where it's like, I have to progress this, I have to take rep up, load up, and that actually hinders the quality of their training, because they almost treat it too seriously to the point where all they're thinking about is numbers, and they're not actually being present with the work they're doing. So more often than not, they're trying to progress too fast, just to constantly take a number up, constantly add a rep, constantly add more weight. And the reality is that training doesn't progress that fast, even when you are in a perfect surplus. And I mean like absolutely nailing it, like rate of gain is perfect, sleep is perfect, hydration perfect, routine is perfect day by day. You're not always going to see a rep up, you're not always going to see an increase in load, especially when you're performing at your absolute best capabilities. So yes, use your logbook and aim to progress your training over time, but be sensible with how you utilize it. It's a tool to accompany your sessions, but I don't think that it should be the sole driver of what you're doing, because it can very, very easily actually pull you away from what it is that you're actually trying to focus on in the first place. I always said to AJ, like, I was a massive tomboy growing up, like massive. I used to go to school because I grew up in America actually I lived there for a few years. And obviously we where we went to school. And my mum used to always try and dress me in like nice clothes. All I wanted to wear was like the NFL kit, the NBA kit. I've just got pictures of me going to school in like a Jets jersey and like my Mets backpack, and that was it. I always joke with AJ that on days like this when it's hot, I'd love to just wear like some long like basketball shorts and a vest and have no hair. It'd just be so chill. Maybe I should just do that. AJ says it wouldn't be a great look, but you can let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe we should come out with some MBW. We have actually got some MBW basketball bottoms. Maybe I'll make those a trend, or there'll be a trend that everyone looks at and thinks, yeah, we're not hopping on board that. That looks terrible. Damn!
What are you shoving?
Fucking!
Come on, come on. That's better, Loz. That's much better. That's much better. Come on. Same again. Same again. Same again. Come on. Come on. Come on, Loz.
No, yeah.
Yes. Lovely. Lovely.
It definitely felt a lot better without the top band. I think it's a problem for a lot of people, and it's why a lot of people struggle to get softer, because people don't really care as much about your content. People, unfortunately, some people won't take you seriously, especially as a female, when you're not super lean. Like, they think that discredits your knowledge. Like, for example, for me now, I know all the same knowledge. I'm still the exact same coach as I was, 6 months ago when I was 30 pounds heavier. But it is interesting how you get more engagement when you are leaner, people care more, you get more coaching inquiries, things like that. But I think it's something that you have to be very careful of and just appreciate. And this is a message that I try and put out there, is like, just because you sit at higher body fats, whatever it is, doesn't mean that you're any less of a bodybuilder. It doesn't mean you're as good as a coach. If anything, it probably means the opposite. And it means that you understand what it takes to progress. You understand what is necessary to still keep your health in a good spot. It's really sad that I see a lot of females, especially, and I've seen a lot of females I used to look up to, who would look like they maintain this lean physique all the time, and they're coming out years down the line and saying, I actually had a really bad relationship with my food at that time, and I was actually, very unhealthy. I'd not had a menstrual cycle in years. It shows how social media just sometimes portrays an image that's not always very false. So try not to fall down that rabbit hole of like thinking you have to be lean or thinking you have to look a certain way all the time for people to take you seriously, or for you to be a good bodybuilder. You just need to do what you need to do and focus on that long-term goal, what's necessary. And I really, really hope that coming out of this prep as well, when I show you guys that off season 2, I can spread more of that message. I try to do that on Instagram to show that, we don't have to look that way all year round. And, hopefully the more that we put these messages out, we can start to shift that narrative a little bit more. One reason why I'm really, really glad that I am prepping this year, after it being quite a long time since my last prep, is that leading from the front is so important to me as a coach. And of course, prep is a huge part of that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to just prep every year, so I can always lead from the front for all of my clients who are in prep, because going through those off-season phases as well is also important. But it is nice for me to, like I say, lead from the front, actually do the do, not just tell my clients, you need to crack on with your seconds when you feel tired, or, you need to get the job done even though it feels difficult. Like, I'm not just telling them to do that. I'm actually walking the walk and doing it myself. And ultimately a prep that hasn't been entirely easy. Like, it's not been a perfectly planned out prep. It's been a hard prep. Like, in the sense that we've had to push hard. It's still been enjoyable, but it's not been the easiest of things. I am having to push hard in this prep. And for me to be able to actually lead from the front with what I do is so important. I would never, ever, ever tell my clients to do something that I wouldn't do myself. I'm not going to tell my client that they need to crack on through a hard day in the gym if I was, bailing on my sessions and walking out the gym. I wouldn't tell my clients that they need to get their head on in their sets if I was throwing a strop and throwing a fit. I wouldn't tell them they need to push more in their sets if I was racking sets early. It's really, really important for me to do that, and I think it's important for my clients to see that, because otherwise it's just hypocritical. I find that my process as an athlete is motivating and driven because AJ leads from the front for me as well. I think it's extremely important to have that as a coach. I don't think it doesn't put pressure on me as a coach, because I fucking love doing what I do. This is my job. But I think that's very, very important for my clients to see. And I do truly think that benefits them massively within their process as well. Hi. Shit. were just chatting a little bit there before that set with Jack about conditioning and levels that you have to get at as a female in order to meet your class criteria, and kind of talked about this a little bit in the last push video. But another thing that also comes into play with how lean you need to be for a specific show or how you need to look at a show, it's also what the whole season looks like. Because unless you maybe just have like one show or 2 shows planned, you probably have a full season. You might have qualifiers and you might be aiming to go for finals that are then 5-6 weeks down the line. And you've probably got one show where, most likely the finals, you're trying to bring your best look, and you have to manage that. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of competitors make is they try to bring their 100% for the first show or a qualifier. And unfortunately then what happens is they deteriorate later down into the season. They get tired, or the look fades, or mentally they're just tapped out at that point. And it's a shame, because then they don't bring their best to the shows that actually mean the most to them. So sometimes you have to kind of appreciate that those earlier shows, you'll still be ready and you'll still be competitive, but you might just be leaving that 5 or 10% in the tank so that you can bring your absolute best when it actually matters. Reached the end of the session. We've just done single leg extension, which you've seen, then the usual lateral raises, and now just finishing off with some calves as usual. It's been a really good session, honestly. I know I say this every time, it's so boring, but yeah, there's not really much else to know. I'm just feeling good, getting the work done, enjoying all the days. I feel like there was something that I was going to say, but I think I'm probably having one of those moments where like my brain is thinking about a million different things at once, and then one thought comes in and then it's gone a minute later. But no, it's been a really good session. I hope you guys have enjoyed following along. Like I said at the start, if anything, these videos, even if I've not got much to say, I think it's just nice to see the work that goes in. I think it's nice to see just what a normal session looks like on prep when you're getting close to a show, and the reality of that is that it's just the same hard usual session as always, and hopefully you can take something away from that. Definitely something I probably needed to see in my first prep, because I did not train like this in my first prep. I look back at some videos and I think, God, she had a lot more to give, but that's the nice thing about this process, and it's why honestly I'm so happy with where I'm at, because I just know I've given everything to be as best as I could be right now, and I know that the difference from where I was in 2020 is it's not even comparable, you know. Like I don't feel like the same person, because I'm not the same person as I was back then. I'm not the same athlete, I'm not the same individual. I've grown so much since then, and that's what bodybuilding is brought into my life, and it's amazing. So, you know, going into the season already, of course we have those competitive edges, but I truly, on reflection, and this is why it's good to take reflection on a day-to-day over a prep if you need to, if you find yourself getting into your head a little bit with worrying about results or other people, it's like taking a little bit of time to just sit and reflect and think like how much you've come and what this process means to you, and have you done everything to be the best that you can possibly be. Like that is literally it, and I am so proud of the progress that I have made, and that's why I, you know, just look forward to continually building on every single day really. So yeah, before I get carried away, because I'll talk about these things for hours, thank you so much guys for watching if you have made it to the end of the video. Hope you're still enjoying following these along. If anyone's got any suggestions, any feedback, as always, leave them in the comments below. But if you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, all that amazing stuff. Make sure to check out Natural Bodybuilding Worldwide for even more content and access to the natural bodybuilding community. And yeah, aside from that, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.